Hi everyone, welcome to this month's startup pitch workshop. So, if this is your first time, every month we have this startup pitch workshop where we have an investor come and review the pitch of a founder. And this month today we have Ruchika from Pets and People.
Hi,
So
guys.
before I let you introduce yourself, I'll let Amiya set the stage for how this is gonna work, and maybe you can also introduce yourself, Amiya, and then give it to Ruchika.
Sure. Sounds good. Thanks, Raghav. Okay, so about myself, I've been into corporate life for more than a decade, worked in companies like Cisco, Amazon, built products for them. Thereafter moved into entrepreneurship, started my own company, and from there got a good connect into the VC industry. So started working for a micro VC called Ayatha Capital. Been there for a little more than a year now. And also working in terms of advising startups, mentoring them through Vadhvani or NASCOM, and through my other ventures as well. So essentially, the focus is to find good startups, help them, or rather ask them important and pertinent questions in terms of how to build a successful business and sort of enable them, get them to a level where they can be funding ready, and then introduce them to investors as well, if need be. So that's the kind of work that I do. Happy to come here and talk to Ruchika. Ruchika, over to you.
Great. Thank you, Amiya. And thank you, Raghav, for setting this up and for the opportunity. So quickly introducing myself, I've been into marketing for almost like 15 plus years. And if I talk about some major exposure stints, then I was one of the co-founding members for Easy Diner, led product and marketing for them end to end. Worked as a CPO, CMO with them, then worked with Nicobar, then a small stint with Car Deco around heading their entire digital piece. My last role was with Zopper as head of marketing, PR, and content. And then parallelly, I became a pet parent. I have two pups, and life changed because though it was my first time, it was a very challenging journey on its own because I just got them one night and there everything, like nobody to guide you, nobody to tell you exactly what needs to be done, and you're just there taking care of them and struggling day in and day out and splurging. That goes without saying. So that's how it all started. And I'm from design background myself, so from Nifteli, and that has always been first love. So the idea was to create something which is of great value to a lot of pet parents and brings in the right uh, environment and ecosystem for people who are really wanting to bring up their pets and give them the best, right? So like you just see our tagline, spoil them because they're worth it. So that's how Pets and People really came into the picture. So primarily who we are actually a company who's very much committed to pet first philosophy when it comes to right product design, creating a very delightful experience for both the pet parents and the pups and kittens. The idea is to create the finest products possible and make it accessible, because if you look at the market offering right now, it's hardly, there's a lot of replication, there's a lot of duplication, you get all these imports. But if I really talk about the real life challenges which you face around these products, because I've personally had those where they would actually chew on these polyester fabrics, you'll end up going to the vet, they're ending up vomiting, and you're spending like a lot to get these products to have a great experience for them, but you're not having them, right? So we are very clear we want to create an environment or a product which is very much pet first in nature and is easily accessible to a lot of people. So what our past 12 months have really looked like, we've developed like really, really interesting 96 products which are very well thought through about how they are going to be interacting with this community. We are already listed in 3 marketplaces. We already have 4 brand collabs because that's where we felt it would be a great way to actually become accessible to a larger audience in a fastest manner. So primarily, if we talk about the pet product market right now, like I just said, there's a lot of duplication. Yes, we do have international brands, but the basic problem is that it's just a duplication. There is nothing which is very, very premium in nature. And the moment you start getting that in India, the price points really shoot up. And, there's only very small market which is eco-friendly or non-toxic for pets right now, because nobody is really thinking about the material or the root cause of design and all those aspects. And primarily, if we talk about, premium products also, they're accessible at a much higher price point. And tier 2, tier 3 cities definitely do not have, that in-depth accessibility. So if we talk about the market, it's very, very surface level right now. And we're just talking about one category. The categories are endless to get into. So what primarily is our core USP, right? We are saying that we are pet first. So that means we're actually tailoring products for every life stage of, the end consumer, which is pups and kittens and any sort of pets, wherein basically if there's an infant kit, exactly understanding what is really required at an infant stage, what is really required at a senior life stage. We're also looking at durability, because India as a market, everybody is not very comfortable spending with a higher frequency and getting a lot for their, pets. So primarily, how can we increase longevity of the product? What are the right techniques in which we can really enable this? We actually do rigorous testing. So we actually have a team of 30 onboarded dogs who are doing testing for us. We're definitely very eco-conscious, so we make sure that our designs are not just using the material, but even something as basic as when a product is being designed, how the consumption of the fabric is going to be taking place. And definitely we are high-end, because when it comes to, so one aspect is that you really have to be out there as a brand. We do acknowledge that, but we are equally conscious of the fact that none of our products would actually have a permanently attached tag to the product, because we know that is one area where we wouldn't even want to offer the pet, something to additionally chew on, which is not meant for them. So everything is designed at a level where, yes, we are luxury, we are silent luxury, we are functional first, and we are very much capable of adapting to the modern lifestyles of the pet parents. So primarily, why this market is also coming up, and I'm one of those end target audience. There are a lot of people who are not having, not planning for babies, but yes, pets definitely become the first choice. So the market is really shifting to a lot of couples who are adopting pets and maybe not planning family immediately. Plus, there's a lot of accessibility to, the whole concept of pet humanization. So we don't treat them like we would have actually, our parents would have brought up their pets earlier. It was primarily, like now they're a family member. It just goes without saying they're a family member for us, and they become the priority even before you're planning a trip. Now, like in my circle itself, there are so many people who are spending immensely on, pet daycares. So you actually drop them. And just to give you a real life example, we just funded a birthday party at one of the daycares for one of the pups, where there were return gifts which were given, there was cake and decoration and all of that was organized, right? So yes, pet humanization definitely has come into picture. The disposable incomes are on much higher stage, right? So primarily, they are a very integral part of the family, and we treat them as our own babies now. So primarily, if we look at the strengths of the team or who are the people really behind this, so I come with a lot of intense background of design and marketing. Manish, who's one of our co-founders, come with a strong background of technology, and the whole idea of, primarily taking this commodity first angle to a training first or education first angle is the long-term plan, where we're saying that Ruchika will get a reminder of when her pup's next vaccination is due. She'll exactly know when, she has to really change the diet. So when it comes to somebody being a constant mentor or a guide to you in that journey, like I was struggling, we are planning to do a technology first interface. And then as far as design or commodity is concerned, we're really saying that, so Kavita deals that part of the whole thing, and she comes with an intense 22-year of design background. So primarily technology, marketing, and design are core three strengths, which has really built in this model for us. So some of our early wins is that we're already listed on Amazon, Flipkart, Amala Earth. I very proudly say this, but we are the only ones in the toy category on Amala Earth, and they're, eco-conscious. So they have not been able to list any other brand, but we were shortlisted by them. We've started with Blinkit also. Again, we are also wanting to target to a market segment which is, again, pet first and understands the need of these products. So Freedom Tree is, again, a very high-end brand in the home space and lifestyle space. SJS Pet Clinic is another area where we've built in our presence. The collabs in pipeline for us are Nicobar and Wishing Chair, similar to the market positioning of what Freedom Tree is. And we've also cracked in an interesting collab with Vetic. So Vetic currently has 55 clinics pan India, and they're increasing 15 more in the coming quarter. And that is where we are actually introducing the product, and we're just giving free giveaways. So our cost of manufacturing comes at a certain price point, and it's the best, most optimized way of interacting with the pet parent and pet, and actually making them experience what really the beauty of the product is. So this is what our early wins look like. So primarily, why are we looking at the funds? First is that we really want to scale up our production facility, because the idea is that we have to be able to produce a lot more to be able to cater to the market in a certain capacity. And even if I talk about the collabs, right, which is Nicobar, Wishing Chair, and Freedom Tree, they come with their own demands at our end. We want to intensively get into a lot of interesting new product design. We want to strengthen our brand presence, because one aspect is great product, other is obviously visibility. That's where we will really need funds. And like I just said about technology first interaction, where we are saying that yes, product is great, but at the same time, if we have designed a fruit collection, it should also come with an added personalized journey for a person to say that, you know what, like I struggle to even realize that, okay, like grapes are actually not right for them, or popcorns are really horrible for them. And I every time had to go back and Google, rather than just somebody making it so easily accessible to me that every timestamp of every single month of evolution in their journey, somebody could have just guided me, which was a very difficult journey for myself. So we want to be co-parenting, I would say. That would really be the term, where you can just help people who are adopting pets and give them the right environment to bring them up. So yeah, these are the areas we're really looking to expand. And if we talk about industry peers, Kong is definitely one of the best brands in the market, and this is what their revenue for November 24 looks like. And that is also one brand which I have personally used, and it's amazing, like especially for tough chewers like one of mine's. It's one of the best brands. Petmate, again, is a global company, and 2023 they were at a revenue of, and their valuation is actually 700 million. Again, looking at the knowledge first platform, right? Because we are going to be a mix of both. So Pet Radar is another brand, and Pet MD is another brand, you can see. And we are going to be actually a mix of commodity and knowledge both, rather than just one of the categories. So I would just want to dig a little deeper into, like I just meant about, like we give so much of in-depth research and design. So this is one of our products, Whimsical Whaley, and it's actually a denim plush toy. If you look, and it's applicable to every life stage, and primarily every type of breed, because of the slender build which it has. The material which we've used is actually upcycled denim. So it's easily accessible for a tough chewer also. It's tummy safe because it's made out of cotton. So anything entering your tummy and which cannot be dissolved, especially the polyesters, it becomes a huge challenge. There's another interesting philosophy around the whole process of breaking away the whole toy in multiple pieces. And we work with a lot of nutritionists also, and there's an entire process on how they have traditionally been followed by dogs. So same way we've built the whole instinct-based, satisfying experience, where you first take off the fins and then you actually dig in deeper, you take off the squeakies. We have multiple squeakies inside also. And obviously it's lightweight. So it's easy to carry, it's easily to go any place. And even for a small breed like Shih Tzu, it's fun to play with. So yeah, that's more about it. Happy to take up any questions, feedback, insights. Please tell me. And Amiya and Raghav, I would want to know, are you guys pet parents or have any pets in the family? That should have ideally been my first question.
Right. Great presentation, Ruchika.
Thank you.
No, I'm not a pet parent.
Okay.
I would love to, but some of my family members are scared.
My mom is a live example. After I've got them, she hasn't come to my place for 3 years. I'm the one who's actually been going to her place. So I
Right.
completely align to that thought process.
Yeah, no. So I'm trying to get my wife more acclimatized to it. So yeah, she has got a lot more exposure since marriage. So hopefully one day, let's see. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
coming back to the
Um,
topic here.
yeah,
Great presentation. Now, help me understand a few things. I understand the market that you are in.
yeah.
Um, how long have we been operational?
So we've been operational for 12 months, but I have been full-time involved in this for past 4 months. So a lot of action which you see has primarily happened in past 4 months for us. All the tie-ups, all the listing, all the collab, except for Amazon, has actually happened in past 4 months.
Understood.
And we started with our first range in January, which was a listing of around 22 products. And post to that, the count of 96, which you see right now, all of that was launched between October, November, and December.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this discussion is going to be a little bit different because you are at a different stage
Yes.
than most of the startups that come.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you already have traction. So we are going to sort of keep it more real. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So you have been operational. Now, few things that are still missing from your slide first step.
Okay.
You have covered the problem, you have covered the solution, you have covered your USP and all of those things. But
Yeah.
what you haven't covered, and you
Hmm.
should read,
Sure.
what is your business model? One. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Second thing, what is your GTM?
Hmm.
So you have mentioned marketplaces, but do you do
Yeah.
D2C?
Yeah.
Through brand collabs. So
Hmm.
what's your commission like, right?
Understood.
So
Understood.
all
Yes.
of these components, what are your different revenue sources? What are the different streams through which you could potentially make revenue? All
Yeah.
of these need to come in and become a part of your story.
Understood. Yeah,
Okay.
we are we are D2C. And like you just mentioned, if you want, I can give you answers of what the commissions look like right now. But
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'd actually want to connect with you after this call.
sure.
But just for the purpose of this call, so everybody
Understood.
here, no matter the stage that they are at, they have
Yeah.
got a certain bit of understanding of how these things flow and the difference in the flow when you're talking to a different kind of startup at a different stage.
Understood.
That's the
Understood.
objective.
Yeah.
So these are the very important points. Now you already have traction.
Yeah.
The problem, solution, everything else that adds value, sure.
Hmm.
But there is something that adds a lot more value than any of these things, and those are numbers,
Yeah.
right? So if I have to look at your GMV, if I have to look at your profits, if I have to look at your where does your EBITDA stand,
Yeah.
what's your quarter on quarter growth looking like? What's your month on month growth, depending on how you want to project it, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
going to give me a very different perspective.
100%,
Now,
because the moment I tell you that currently, and I'm just because obviously we're talking to a larger group, right? So I would want to also share that.
understood.
So we've our product composition, though it's extremely high quality, we are currently at so if I'm selling a product for 1200, the Whaley which you just saw, right? My manufacturing cost for that is 350 rupees because I have my own production unit, right?
Sure.
So the moment uh, I have my own production unit, my costs extremely get optimized because firstly, the whole idea of always worked with startup is that you go frugal in nature. So how do you
Absolutely.
optimize the process the most? Another thing is our sourcing, our design process, everything is optimized to the T that uh, A plus quality can be delivered at a very great price at our end. So 350 is my manufacturing cost and 1200 is actually what we are selling it at to the customer. And we've also
Understood.
at that right price point because initially when we launched it, I had priced it at a higher price range because coming from a thought process that it's just not about manufacturing, the kind of experience also we want to give, right? Our packaging in itself is a beautiful fabric pouch, and then we do so many things inside of it. And the brand has to be positioned in a certain capacity. It also comes with a perception value with an Indian market approach. But yeah, 1299 is where we completely arrived. Okay, you know what? Even a person at Amazon is willing to spend. And trust me, you even have, like competition offering products at 399, 299. So somebody when consciously picking you up, it gives you a lot of confidence. Plus a lot of action on the number front pretty much has happened in past 3 months only. Like I just said that, 4 months is when I've personally got aggressively involved into in full-time capacity, and a quarter growth looks different. But yes, we can discuss those numbers
Yeah,
separately.
so that's why the story that you have said since January till October, I'm assuming is going to be a different story, and since October till now is going to be a different
Yes,
story.
yes,
So that's
yes.
why the perspective was that you can share on a month-on-month story as well.
Understood. Got it. Got
So
it.
see, I understand that there are some things that we are probably not going to talk about in an open forum. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I understand that. And that's why I'm not going to probe into that too much. But for
Sure.
the audience that is there and the intention that they have, I would certainly want to touch upon how real can it get.
Got it.
Okay.
Understood.
You don't have to give specific numbers. You can sort of keep it a generalized or a made up number as well.
Yeah,
Approximations work. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but this audience should get a perspective, at
Hmm.
least. Okay. Now, one of
Understood.
those things that you spoke about, the another thing when you're actually doing a proper pitch,
Hmm.
something that you should take care of is your unit economics.
Hmm.
The breakdown of from your GMV to
Hmm.
your EBITDA to your
Hmm.
PBT or a PAT.
Hmm.
That's the kind of breakdown that is really going to help gain a very good perspective from how your final financials look like versus from a unit economics perspective. What's your COGS? From
Hmm.
there, what are your operational expenses? What are the
Hmm.
other kind of marketing expenses that you're incurring? And
Yeah.
from a revenue perspective, a single unit, how is it that you're arriving and what's your per unit profit margin?
Aligned, Amya, and we worked on actually a 12-year, not 12 years, sorry, 12 months progression and a forecast, month
Hmm.
on month, keeping everything which you mentioned. But yes, it's definitely missing from the deck. Because I'll also tell you my perspective on the whole thing. Right now, the numbers were so small that, and thank you for correcting me on this clearly, we felt that, will that make too much of a difference or not, right? Because it's proof of concept is great. We have a unit in place. We've done some sales. We know exactly what's happening. We exactly have the numbers which you've spoken about because we know how much is going where. But is that convincing enough to an investor? Ki, okay, you know what, this model has weight or not? We were not very sure with the minuscule size of things. But yes, definitely will include this. And thank you so much for the feedback around this.
No problem. See, the point is that as a startup, it's not always about where you are.
Understood.
It's also about what is the incremental progress that you're making. For
Yeah.
example, if in October you told me that I did sales of, let's just say my GMV was 1 lakh rupees,
Hmm.
I would be looking at November.
Hmm.
And if I don't see 1.5 lakhs, 1.25, 2, then I
Hmm.
would be asking you what happened? Why didn't you grow? Why was it 1 again? I'll
Hmm.
look at the December again, and then I'll ask you the same question again, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So it takes time to figure out those channels, mechanisms, and motions
Hmm.
to improve your positioning in the market and your market share eventually.
We're
Right.
exactly going through the same thing right now.
I
Like
understand.
what you just said. Yeah.
I understand exactly. And that's absolutely fine. See, there's nothing wrong. But what is it that you have achieved already? You should
Yeah.
not be shying away from showcasing that, right?
Understood.
Let
Got it.
people grill you on that. That's absolutely fine. And don't shy away from that as well. There will be questions, hard-hitting questions that will come your way.
Yeah.
But you should take that. Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
these are not your enemies, these are your well-wishers who are safeguarding their interests, but they're telling you something very crucial in terms
Yeah.
of what goes on inside the mind of someone who's looking to do something for you.
Understood. Aligned.
Right?
100%. Yeah.
So once you have that mindset that okay, let me a lot of founders that I talk to, and this is for everybody, a lot of
Hmm.
founders that I talk to, and if I start questioning them, why are you doing this? They get
Hmm.
defensive. You
Hmm.
don't need to get defensive. Right?
No, I
At the
think
end of
this
the
I
day, I am
agree.
just a person sitting here
Hmm.
ranting. You don't have to take one word of it, right? At the
Hmm.
end of the day, you are the one who's driving it. But your objective, no matter how aggressive, how questioning everybody gets, your objective
Yeah.
should be to try and extract
Hmm.
what is it that they are trying to hint towards. Why are they trying to say what they are saying? Or what is it that they are saying and how does it affect me? Right?
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
get into the mindset of asking, like, okay, why do you think like that? What's
Hmm.
driving this particular perspective?
Hmm.
that's the kind of mindset that puts you in a growth phase. And you come from that kind of background. You have already been into those situations and positions, right? So you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
firsthand how difficult, how dif how easy it is for people to be defensive,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how
And
difficult it is to sort of get into the other person's mind and understand that what is it that they're trying to bring to the table and how can I use it to my advantage.
if I just briefly talk about our numbers from October and not disclosing the exact numbers,
Sure.
but with the growth percentages, right?
Hmm.
So October, Amazon was our only active channel, right? Where we were easily doing, and I'm talking about advertising spends also inclusive. We were not bleeding at all. We were positive, including our margins and everything, right? And November is when we started. November end is when we started our paid activations, and Freedom Tree happened to us in December when we went live with them. So primarily our numbers, if I talk about past 3 months itself, October, November, December, we've grown at least 60 to 70% month on month. And the numbers are very, very small. And the conscious call which I took in the month of December was, at the end of December, was that if something like Vetic can get cracked where my customer introduction and engagement is happening at a very limited cost, why would I bleed with the kind of crazy cost of acquisitions which come with, paid media? Clearly, right? Because you have to play smart, you have to play frugal also, right?
Well said.
That's where our January numbers really got impacted, and I was like, no, we're not doing this. We will straight hit with Vetic. We're not bleeding like crazy. So yeah, like you just said, right? There are conscious calls which are taken, and you have a reasoning behind every decision which you take. But yes, just coming back to the previous quarter, which was October, November, and December, we've almost grown 60 to 70% month on month. Yeah.
Okay, okay. No, that's great. That's great. Um, one of those things is as well that when you're talking about all of these points, right?
Yeah.
You come from a marketing background, so I'm sure you've worked with product marketing or
Yes.
GTM as well.
Yes. Yes.
Now, this space that you're in, I have got two questions, and for this discussion, or you can think about this otherwise as well, and prepare yourself. But there are established brands in the market. You have got you have got Supertails, a lot of other brands that are coming into the market as well, trying to venture into this particular space, right?
Yes.
From a competitive analysis perspective, that's also something that you should include. And I'm not sure if that's conscious decision to not have it here.
We need to include that. We
Yeah,
need to include that. Yeah.
because these are good brands and they've got decent collabs as well in the market, right? The gaps, some of these that you're trying to plug in, if you go to Huft, if you go to Supertails, they've also got these toys section,
Yeah.
right?
We're getting listed on Supertails actually. So
Okay,
we've already
I could
cracked.
see where you're going with this. That's fine.
No, and I'll tell you, because see, I'll also give answer to this question from two perspectives. One is a founder of this organization. Second is as a pet parent, right? Because um, both of them have very valid thought process, and I think it's going to be insightful to share that perspective. So, firstly, as a founder of the company, Haft and Supertails are actually two biggest players for us
Yeah.
in the market, and they are marketplaces, right? So tomorrow, if and I'll also tell you the average price point. So Huft currently, after being in the market for all these years, holds a toy specific. Toy is the commodity area we started with, clearly, right? And we're going to expand. But uh, their current catalog size is 496 products in the toys section, which covers all the breeds or everything. And obviously, they've built in that catalog over the years. We currently are at 96 in the first 12 months. That's one. Second is their average price point as far as their product range is concerned in the toys category. Their starting would be, I would say, 199 with very limited size and portfolio.
I think I've seen 99 as well for some chewy bone toy or something like that.
Yeah, but that's mostly out of stock pretty much.
Sure.
And their highest would be somewhere around 2000, but their average is 699, 799. Typical Indian mindset, bada khilona dikhta hai, and larger than life. Oh, I'm getting so much value in this. I'm sorry, but my thought process was also like that at one point in time, clearly, right?
Sure.
And Superdales, and they have, obviously they have Kong listed with them, they have Trixie listed with them, all the international brands. And we've also spoken to their supplier who's based out of Pune, and I can also get the same products at the same margin, flat 30% पे तो वो already दे रहा है मुझे. Like if something which is for 100 rupees, he's already giving me at 70 with the bare minimum quantity. There is no capping around that. If I obviously increase, I can
So
increase.
MOQ will be there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing is Supertails. I think Huft has a little more organized, curated set. Supertails, they hardly make because we work closely with them, and Supertails has similar catalog. I can buy either from Huft, I can either buy from Supertails, and it depends कहाँ पे discount sale ज़्यादा कहाँ चल रही है, pretty much, which is funded by them, and similar catalog size, and they just want to, again, give it to the customer because they feel toys a category honi chahiye, because it shouldn't be missed from the larger spectrum which they are trying to create, which obviously will become our case also, similar price points, right? So both of them are marketplaces. We will definitely take advantage. We will also get listed there. So Super Tales is where we will be live in February. Our listing has already been shared with them. Huft has stopped doing listing for small brands because now they're starting their own brand called Dog Dash. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, where are we different? We are different specifically because my average price point of the product definitely is close to 1200, 1300. The maximum product size, product price on my catalog right now is 3500. And we are very, very clear that we have to be starting with a super conscious parent कि अगर एक पॉलिएस्टर का टॉय मुझे नहीं देना है तो मुझे नहीं देना है. मतलब I've had instances at home where both my pups or one of them is an aggressive chewer. So wo to everything which comes to him is like, pehle it has to come out in first 5 minutes. But I just do it because for the joy of it. Literally, ki you have fun 5 minutes, you get it from me. And I have personally spent on an average of 10,000 on a monthly basis initially when I just got them from Huff. And literally, matlab, I've had episodes jahan pe vomit hua hai. I had to take them to the doctor, got stuck in their tummy. You're struggling at the poop time in the morning with them. And then you're like, bloody hell, I'm spending so much and I'm still struggling, right? Matlab, and literally, it's not soluble in their tummy. Whatever you do in life, clearly it's not done. Plus, the kind of it's an entire process which they follow with a toy, and we were very clear that if somebody is ready to spend that sort of money, why not give them something which is a little more easier for the puppy and is a delightful experience for them, right? Like we have a product called Infant Kit. Now, when they were puppy, I couldn't even find a right toy. Choti ball ढूंढो, बड़ी ball ढूंढो, swallow ना कर ले, ये ना हो जाए, वो ना हो जाए. And then we've designed an infant kit, which is because your pup is hardly 24 centimeters or 18 centimeters when you get them. What is the right toy which they will be able to carry? They'll be able to play with. You have to teach them basics like, fetch, pull, tug. We've designed it. And we've designed it with the most organic material. And we're like, ठीक है, अगर swallow कर भी लेगा, it's not life threatening for them. It's not the end of the world for the parent or for them, right? So yeah, from a pet parent perspective, I don't think anybody can really compete us as far as the product thought process or design is concerned, because you do not have an infant kit in the market. You do not, especially in India, I've studied Singapore market also, you do not have something where people are doing, toys only for adult older dogs who need a lot of comforting. Like if I talk about international market, you actually have toys with aroma, wherein, you have lavender aroma, you have all of this, which is very relaxing to them, especially for aged dogs, which are, 8 to 10 years in age. So yeah, our product design and development and thought process, that way I'm very, very confident it's there. Plus, the positioning is different. So like Nicobar has just started a range called Nicobark. And so at Huft, you will get a sweater for 2,200. At Nicobark, you will get a sweater for 6,000. And we definitely want to be in the Nicobark category. And we're actually doing a collab with them, a year-long collab, where we are going to be specifically starting with toys and then get into garments and bedding and all of that. So starting with a very conscious pet parent who's ready to go that extra mile. And definitely we want to make the leverage of these marketplaces and sell them and sell at them. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% aligned with that thought process. And there is a lot of other brand collab that is also possible within this particular
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
Two things that I would want you to be careful of. When you're looking at this particular market,
Yeah.
and you come from the marketing background, so I'm sure you understand this,
Yeah.
that establishing a brand um, is a function of your target persona as well. Right?
100%. Yes,
So
you're absolutely
as
right.
you grow with your startup's journey,
Hmm.
that depiction in an actual pitch should be there. Who is it that you're targeting? And why is it that you think that you would be able to target them right now? Okay. That is also going to sort of the stage where you're at. One of those most important things is the clarity with which you are doing your execution.
Yeah.
And these are the small items that bring the clarity in front of any investor who can look at it and say that you know what you are doing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the most important thing. Now, with respect to some of these other brands, and see, the the downside of any aggregator platform is the fact that at one point or the other, they start identifying what is the top selling SKU and they start getting into manufacturing themselves. And that's
Yeah.
been reflective of every aggregator platform since the beginning of e-commerce that has been there.
Yeah.
Right? So at some point or the other, the value proposition that you are bringing to the table, it is going to get copied. So working, either you start building a moat or defensibility in the market. It doesn't have to be in right now.
Hmm.
But the sustenance of the brand and the business will aggressively depend on how well are you able to establish your brand and protect its value,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Uh,
So 2 years down the line, you might find like there are three more startups who are doing similar work. Right? All they need to do is maybe just hear about what Pets and People is doing.
yeah.
And 6 months down the line after this, if this goes live on YouTube, that you might have of the 20 odd people here, someone might just jump up and decide that I can do that as well,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? So you are already public.
Hmm.
So don't get into the mindset that I have the best product. You will always, at least till you hit a certain level, and that's not going to be any near term. It's like 4 or 5 years from now.
I
You,
agree
you
completely.
cannot become complacent at all.
100% aligned.
Right?
And
It's
I mean, just adding to your thought, and you can correct me if I'm thinking in the right direction or not. So primarily, see, and I'm talking right now as a passionate founder, and you might think I'm being over optimistic about things. But primarily, one aspect is a great product. Other aspect is a great co-parenting experience, right? Like, so that is why when I spoke about the technology piece, and we can just keep the jargon of technology aside, but something as basic as if I'm a new pet parent and I get a small pup home and I'm clueless, like when I got them, I wasn't even aware that I have to not let them out for the first 3 months because they're very prone to, infections. And there's a certain thing to be followed, or chicken can only be introduced in after first 60 days, not before that. It was all like, just imagine you get a pup, and I'm sure you have in family, but I didn't even had any exposure like that. One of my neighbors just told his vet ko dikha do, that's it, right?
hmm,
So, and I'm talking about building an authentic, honest experience. Clearly, I'm not saying it has to be with a very marketing first approach. कि नहीं आज तुम हमसे ये खरीद लो because you've got a puppy. No, that's not the intent. The intent is that can I just help this person identify, or can we just help this person identify that, okay, if you do these three things, you're doing okay, or at least this is your guardrail. ये करते रहोगे तो बुरा तो नहीं होगा अगर बहुत अच्छा नहीं होता है. And right now, I think when it comes to information exchange or right guidance, it's very, very rare in the market because, and I'm not saying people will not come up with that. वो भी हो जाएगा. And I think it's just how we execute it. It's just how much of authenticity it holds and whether we are able to build it with the right kind of value system we're talking right now. अगर वो करते हैं with a decent product, I'm not even saying best product. So I think, and the idea is not that we ever want to be so one of the guys in my office actually said that, so I bought in blankets from Huft for my pups, okay? Winter started. And he was like, why are you buying from Huft? And I was like, the idea is not that I will never buy from them. The idea is that whatever best I can do myself, I will. Rest, I'm going to, you know, obviously be encouraging them also as a market space, right? So you're absolutely right that we cannot be overconfident about a product, 100% aligned. But yeah, just we're actually trying to build an ecosystem which has a decent product and also is going to help build a decent experience. That's where we want to be. And if in next 2 years, and I'm just not randomly speaking, but if in next 2 years we can even impact, let's say, 10 lakh pet parents, or even I would say half of that, I think it's going to be a great win, because that's where the real value creation happens, right? I might not be able to cater to the entire market, but a small bit and at its own pace and right way. I think that's what it's all about.
Okay. Very interesting thought process. Something that I see pretty much every day. Okay. Now,
Hmm.
let me give you a perspective here. You can take it with a pinch of salt.
No,
Okay.
I have to take it because you are much more exposed than I am, clearly.
So I don't know any founder who
Hmm.
starts by thinking, I am going to rob people or
Yeah.
I'm going to do indecent things.
Yeah,
Okay.
I get it. Huh.
There might be a certain percentage, sure.
Hmm.
But that's a very small percentage. Most founders, when they start, they genuinely believe that this is
Hmm.
a problem.
To
And
solve.
what I am doing is a genuine thing that can solve this problem.
Yeah.
At least good
Yeah.
90% of them start with this. Okay. Everybody has got their heart in the right place.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the difference from here to actually being able to make a difference lies in the journey.
100%. You're
Okay.
absolutely right. Yeah.
So, problem solution
Hmm.
is one equation that we are looking at.
Yeah.
But every problem has got multiple solutions, multiple ways to approach it.
Yeah.
The execution in terms of how, and this is now shifting from problem solution to building a business.
100%. Yes.
They are
Yeah.
very different things. They are not the same thing at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, when I'm trying to identify, one of the most important things is that what is the impact of the problem?
Hmm.
What is the pain that people are feeling? Sure, Ola, Uber has been there for a good more than decade now,
Hmm.
but people are still complaining.
Hmm.
But is there something that you can do immediately? There are so many options, especially if you're familiar with Bangalore. You've got
Hmm.
Namma in Delhi, NCR, you've got Blue Smart, even in Bangalore now. Different models in place.
Yeah.
They are able to solve things through a different variability.
Yeah.
But can anybody say that I've completely solved all the problems that the riders are facing within this particular sector?
None. Nobody.
Right?
Clearly. Yeah.
So different business models
Hmm.
exist
Hmm.
trying to cater to the same set of audience,
Hmm.
but different methods. And
Hmm.
yet nobody is able to get to that, promised land and say that, boss, this is it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Now, why is that? Impact. What is
Hmm.
it that you as a company are trying to focus on? That will
Hmm.
define and drive where you're going next.
Yeah.
What is your product discovery mechanism like? What is
Hmm.
your customer discovery mechanism like?
Hmm.
Different people with different biases, perceptions will have a different kind of mindset to look at the same person, same situation, same problem, and yet come up with different solutions.
Yeah.
It all depends on where you are coming from and where do you want to go. And all of these guys will have their hearts in the right place.
I'm sure. I'm sure you're absolutely right on this.
So
No.
my
And
point here is that
that's actually a lot of food for thought, because see, when you're in middle of doing something, you definitely are a lot focused, right? But it's extremely important to even look outwards and yeah, look at things from a different lens. Completely. Thank you so much for this, Amya.
exactly. So see, building a product,
Hmm.
problem solution is one thing. Building a
Yeah.
product out of it,
Yeah.
then building a business out of it. There are different layers. The granularity with which you need to look at something, the nano level, the macro level, and literally the 100,000 feet view level.
Yeah.
As a founder, you have to constantly context shift. If you're missing it, then there is something for sure that you will be missing. And that is where good team is very, very important. People who can, if you're looking at too far ahead, people who can bring you down to the moment. If you're too focused on the moment, people who can bring you out and say that what happens then,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
These cycles and the mechanism that you're putting in place. Now, not everything applies to every stage of every startup, but the
Yeah.
stage where you are at, this
Yeah.
applies that you have to figure out a good product discovery mechanism. You have to figure out a good customer discovery mechanism. You have to figure out what is going to be a good segmentation, categorization, classification. What sort of pain point that you are catering to? How is it that you can cater to them better? I am 100% aligned that um, it is going to take time. But at the end of the day, the survivability, it's very
Yes.
difficult to.
You're
We have worked
absolutely
with NPS a lot.
bang
Right?
on this. Yes, clearly. Yeah.
So you've worked with NPS a lot, but how accurate is it? Can you
Hmm.
really build on that and say that, yeah, these 10 people who have been doing this business with me, they will still be there after 2 years? Can you say that?
Hmm.
There is the branding piece of it, the loyalty piece of it is extremely difficult to crack, extremely difficult to crack,
Hmm.
right? Even people who are like, I'm like a Cadbury fan,
Hmm.
but tomorrow they are happy to shift to Amul. They would
Yeah.
love to have a Lint, right? But people who are like Belgian chocolate fan,
Hmm.
and again, different classifications,
Yes.
different brands within that space, they would not like a Cadbury. They would probably not like an Amul.
Yeah.
But how is that they got to that position where they were able to build that kind of loyalty, that kind of
Hmm.
brand? So you
Hmm.
want to be the Lint space of this particular thing.
Yes. Yes.
But you have to have that thought process and the mechanisms and the execution to be able to get there in the first place,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
And
So it's
these
a
are
it's a
the areas we
lot.
cover in the deck as well,
Sorry.
clearly. I'm saying these are the areas we need to cover in the deck as well, clearly.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. So the my point here was that the intention is good, okay,
Hmm.
but there is a lot more, and it's very, very intensive. These are not easy things to do. I can tell you about these things. I can talk about it in 10 minutes, but it may take you 10 months to even solve for one of those things,
Hmm.
right? But you should always keep all of these things in mind as a founder. If you were working in an IC capacity in a startup, I would be telling you something very different.
Hmm.
But you are a founder. You have to
Yeah.
constantly go back and forth, try and figure out what's happening at a macro level, what's happening at a micro level, what's happening at a nano level, and then still be able to context switch and get back,
Yeah.
right? And so the point that you were mentioning earlier, right? There's certain things that you want to do, certain ways you think about it, all good. But at the end of the day, practicality wins.
I completely agree. No, and see, I'll be very honest. Whatever you're saying, it you face the heat, you face those difficult times on a day-to-day basis. Clearly, that this is where I have to stop spending. This is where I have to start and find an alternative frugal route because that's how we have to survive. And like what you just said, right? That being functional and being existent to the end customer, that's the first priority, and then you scale up and you evolve into the most ideal state you want to be in. And that's also an evolutionary process, clearly. Today I'm
Yes.
thinking like that. Tomorrow, if I talk to 10 other customers, I might feel, oh, you know what, maybe no, it has to be tweaked like this. I completely agree and align with every single word you just said.
See, one of those things is that as a founder, right,
Hmm.
figuring out what's best for the audience that you're trying to cater to and the mechanism in which you're trying to cater to them.
Hmm.
Where is it coming from and what is the impact? So your metrics,
Hmm.
that is very, very crucial. Now, I hear a lot of people talk about how important is user research, how important is NPS, how important is the feedback.
Hmm.
But what a lot of people don't go trying to do is that, let's just say that I love the product. Someone
Hmm.
says to you, okay, how many times have you gone back and asked them, what do you love about it? Why do you love it so much? What is it that you were able to find here that you could not go out there in the market and find there?
Hmm.
This is where the actual magic is. Not the fact that someone says, I love your product.
So I would just want to say something here, and not because we're speaking about it,
Sure.
but every single week I pick up the phone and I actually talk to customers in limited
Perfect.
capacity. And I just want to share one of the stories also because we're speaking about it. So Tokyo is one of our most, I would say, critical customer because they've already so Tokyo, it's a Shih Tzu based out
Correct.
of Jaipur, vegetarian because belongs to a Marwadi family, and his parents claim that he has more than 400 toys. Okay, and they placed orders with us more than 6 times. The last order value was 6,973, and
Mm.
that guy is just crazy. And but yeah, for them, like every alternate day, he needs a new toy. It's as simple as that. And the feedback which I got from his pet parent was that, his average play time with any toy is approximately 15 to 20 minutes when he gets a new one. In our case, it's 2 days.
Mm.
And uske baad bhi, it becomes a challenge to take it away from him. So, and honestly, that frequency has been dropping every week from a perspective that I can't end up doing these calls because there's so much which comes to my table.
Sure.
With you bringing this up, I think I cannot let go of that thing because
You
being close,
should not.
yeah, yeah,
You absolutely should not. Because,
because that actually tells you the pulse of the customer clearly, right?
see, till you get, and take it as my bias, okay? But I would suggest that till you get to at least a Series A,
Hmm.
keep on top of your customer interactions. It will
Understood.
drop because there'll be a lot of paperwork for you.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot more. But until then, try and do at least 1 or 2 calls every day,
Understood.
at
Understood.
least. Okay. The closer you are to the customer, the
Hmm.
better position you will be in. And not just that, okay, thank you for doing this, or I love the feedback. Get to the crux of what is it that they're trying to do. You
Yeah.
know, the same story that I was trying to tell you, right? That it's not about someone loves you. It's about
Hmm.
why is it that they love you.
Hmm.
That's when you really find that vibe, that
Yeah.
connection, and then translating that to something in terms of a metric, that's a massively challenging task. If you can, not everybody can. If you
Yeah.
can, then
Hmm.
you can really, you see all of these questions like, okay, how was the driver rating? Same going to the Ola Uber example. How is the driver experience? Did the driver open the door for you?
Hmm.
Did you have music in the car? So
Hmm.
what are these things? These are granularities to the rating that you gave a 5 star to the particular driver.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the kind of exhaustive thing that you will eventually have to put in place, but be very careful about it. I mean, I can say that here, but when you're doing it in process, if you have 5 questions, people are going to skip it. What is the
Hmm.
most important thing? Something in product management, what we call as a um, OMTM,
Hmm.
one metric that matters.
Hmm.
What is that OMTM?
Yeah, like from Tokyo's case, it was clearly playtime, right? Like,
Huh.
exactly.
But this is one example. So the
Yeah,
sample size, if you increase it to 1,000,
yeah. It'll
and
become very,
what's
then the trends are going to be very visible,
yes.
clearly. Yeah.
So this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. See, and all of these far past 10, 15 minutes discussions, the
Hmm.
point of all of this discussion was that from where you are, with the
Hmm.
good intention at your heart, with the good energy and ethics that you're trying to put in place, to
Hmm.
get to a place where you're sustainably able to deliver that while still remaining as a brand existent in the market,
Hmm.
it's an extremely exhaustive and intensive journey. It's going to take a lot out of you. Okay, it's not going to be easy. People talk about how startups don't get funding, but people don't as much talk about how going from a pre-seed to pre-series A or a series A is as difficult.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of startups who actually eventually manage to get funding, they can't sustain. That's a very difficult journey to have in the first place,
Yeah.
right? So you are at a stage where you are doing a lot of things right, thinking about things in a right way about a lot of different things. But to put these things in place in a manner that gets you from point A to point B, That is where the difference is going to be. Now it's all about execution. And let me be frank and honest with you. And again, take it with a pinch of salt. You're not doing anything new. It's the experience that you are working with. So how the experience manifests within your users, what sort of brand identification that you're able to create, what sort of brand loyalty that you're able to create, that is what is eventually going to drive your business. There are so many players, and you do your competitive analysis and you'll see there are so many other players trying to come up within sustainable thing within the toy industry, not just for pets but humans, etc., etc. So the sustainability, the entire, the what you call that ESG field, that's coming up heavily.
Yeah.
Everybody, if not now, you launch it, let someone hear about you. 6 months down the line, there will be someone, I can also do this. That's why you'll hear that idea does not really hold a lot of value. It's the execution. How you go about doing different things, aligning these different dots and connecting them, eventually to make a shape that can give a resemblance of, this looks like a business. Huge difference. Problem solution to creating a business. That's the entire gist of what I was trying to do with for the past 15 years. But having said that, your competitive analysis, some of these things that you spoke about, like what are those trends? What are those metrics? You should also talk about them in an actual pitch. Okay. That will also help people understand that you know what you are tracking. And if I have to see your business grow, and let's just say that if I'm talking to you, let's say I've invested in you and I'm talking to you 6 months down the line, you know what you're tracking. And if I'm asking you, you can tell me that, okay, this is what it was 6 months ago, 3 months ago, it was like this. Now it is like this. And you see an upward traction or a exponential traction or whatever, right? So these graphs at your level, they are very, very significant.
Understood.
This is what is going to build the confidence in your company to say that you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing. All these mechanisms from a business model to your revenue streams, to your brand collabs, you haven't emphasized nearly enough on the different collabs that you have done. It came in the conversation. You should be talking about those collabs. You should be talking about the value that you're extracting out of those collabs. What is it that you've put at stake with those collabs? The different marketplaces. What other possible collabs are there, right? So these are different channels for optimization with respect to your GTM. You should be working on those items as well. But yeah, I mean, this is a very small conversation. There is a lot of nuance and a lot of depth to all of this. Right? Yeah, I'm hoping you get the gist of what I'm
No,
trying to
no,
say.
I'm getting it because, like you rightly said, like even if I would have just went on speaking about the collabs with Freedom Tree, they are actually supplying all the fabric to us. We're just manufacturing. We are accessible in all their stores. The brand is getting positioned at a different level in different audience. And I completely agree with what you're saying, and we need to really write it down. And I think if we have another 10 collabs in pipeline, which we have to
Yes.
initiate, and but at least it will speak a lot about the thought clarity that we
Yes.
exactly know what we are aiming for clearly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is what I'm talking about. There's nothing about pipeline. There's nothing about most important. Like I said, you have to eventually become a brand, right?
Hmm.
Execution is the key, but all the pieces that are part of that execution are missing.
Hmm.
You're only
Hmm.
talking problem, solution, USP, etc., etc. I can very easily turn around and say that, boss, there is nothing new that you are doing. There are 10 other companies out there trying to do the same thing. Huft will do the same thing. You spoke about the brand that they're trying to establish by themselves. Eventually, they will move into this segment as well,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So from here to establishing a brand and loyalty,
Hmm.
what are those execution steps? What is it that you're tracking? And how are you making sure that I'm going to get from point A to point B?
Hmm.
You're not
Hmm.
giving me any confidence in this.
Understood.
Just looking at this, what you have in terms of your
Yeah.
pitch deck. I'm sure there's a
Yeah.
lot going on, and for
Yeah.
certain reasons, we can't go into those details just
Hmm.
yet.
Yeah.
Right? I understand that.
Yeah.
But those are the kind of things that you should be thinking about when you're putting yourself in front of an investor.
Understood. Got it.
Execution.
Hmm.
Every bit of execution. Who's there in the market?
Hmm.
You spoke briefly about competitive analysis, but there was nothing competitive that you mentioned. You only
Hmm.
spoke about processing, you spoke about positioning.
Hmm.
Nothing in terms of why you are competitively better.
Hmm. Hmm.
I hope you remember what you said, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do clearly. Yeah.
So it was all about positioning. It was
Hmm.
not about competitive analysis at all.
Hmm. Hmm.
So being mindful and careful about what is it that you're talking about is just as important,
Agreed.
right?
Completely.
And this is something that I do with a lot of founders as well. You can have the best product, but you don't know how to put a story forward.
Hmm.
What kind of story you should be telling in the first place that reduces the other person's anxiety and gives them the boost their confidence and say that, yeah, okay, these are the guys.
Hmm.
And this is something that I repeat every time I'm here, that
Hmm.
you are not the only person pitching to any investor.
Hmm.
Every week, there are 10 more people pitching alongside you. From first call to a term sheet, if it takes 2 months,
Hmm.
the investor has probably spoken to about 60 people. Out of
Hmm.
those 60 people, can you stand out? 60, 100, whatever that number is. Can you
Hmm.
stand out? Can the investor turn around and say that of all these 150, whatever number people that I've spoken to, startups that I've spoken to, pets and people is the one that stands out. And
Hmm.
if this quarter I'm willing to invest, let's just say that my corpus is 10 CR, for example, and
Hmm.
I'm looking to invest in 2 startups in this particular quarter. I'm looking
Hmm.
to spend maybe 2 CR and keep something in the follow on.
Hmm.
And I have to give 1 CR to each startup, for example. Is
Hmm.
this pets and people? Is this the startup that I'm willing to invest my 1 CR in comparison to the rest of the 99 other startups that I spoke to? It's not about one day. From the
Hmm.
day you take the first call to the time you get to a term sheet, even due diligence,
Yeah.
actually raising funds is a 3 months to 9 months journey, easily, even more, right? Within those 3 months to 9 months, till you actually sign a CCPS, SAFE, CCD, whatever it is,
Hmm.
anything can happen. Tomorrow, even if I'm 100% aligned, I've given you a term sheet. If I don't see something that I want to see within those 6 months that this journey has taken, or 3 months that this journey has taken, I can turn around and say that, hey, due diligence didn't work out. We are taking the offer back. Retraction happens. How do you
Yeah.
safeguard yourself from that? Right? So you have to really put yourself, do everything precisely and meticulously to go from getting the first call to actually signing the agreement.
Yeah.
It's not easy at all. It's a time consuming process. It's a frustrating process. That's the state of it. Right? So that's the crux of it. There are a lot of things that you're doing that are right. You're saying a lot of things that are right, but the reflection of it in your pitch, again, not sure if it's intentional here, but it should come off in your pitch deck as well. Right? Be a bit more mindful in terms of what you are saying. I
Yeah.
understand, you've got the right intentions and everything else, but it's a business conversation,
I agree completely. Yes.
right? You have been at those kind of levels where you understand the importance of a comma and a full stop. If it's at the wrong place, it can make all the difference.
Yeah, it does. And I think thank you for this. So for me, it becomes right now it was more from a passion front, but I know that it has to come from a business front clearly, and I have to be very, very particular of what's being spoken at the table clearly. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's the crux of it. I think you have, apart from a few things here and there, basis this conversation, I'm sure you're going to go back and get those things right.
Hmm.
I love you as a founder for sure. There's a lot that you're doing right, but still, there's a lot more that needs to be done. Okay. As long as you get that perspective, keep your head clear, clarity, and putting those one step ahead of the other, one step at a time, making sure it's firmly grounded and firmly announced.
Hmm.
People need to know. Okay. Uh, Coming from marketing background, जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. Right? So
Yeah.
while people there are times when we tend to take pride in terms of, I haven't spent enough in doing XYZ things, but then you haven't also sold enough.
Hmm.
So marketing, the whole purpose is awareness. If you are not known in the market, no matter what you are doing, what is the value? Dollar
Hmm.
value. or rupee value. It has to translate. When you're talking about marketing, you can say a lot of good things to me, but I'm also going to question you and ask you that why is it that you haven't done any enough marketing? Why are you shying away from paid marketing? Even if you're comparatively doing organic or influencer or whatever mechanism you chose, what is the upside that you see, or what is the downside that you see that you haven't done it so far? If all the different things that you have done, what is the ROAS? Why are you shying away, and why are you not looking to optimize on your ROAS if you think that it's not working out? But there are different channels that are out there.
Amiya, do you think we should also touch base on, though we've covered a lot of major context in the tech optimization and improvement, but like what we're just speaking right now, right? There has been a conscious call on optimizing some mediums for brand visibility and presence and not taking some immediately. Do you think that kind of detailing is also required in an initial
Not an
introductory?
initial deck. Not an initial deck, but these kind of discussions will happen. You should be ready for it, because just saying that I haven't done this does not cut it. Either don't say it,
Got it.
don't breach the subject.
Got
Or
it.
if you're saying it, then be ready for these kind of questions, because this is not always a good thing. Unless you're able to justify and back it up with different examples and say that this is why I haven't. One of those things that with logic and reasoning for behind doing everything. That needs to be there for every statement that you make.
Understood. Got it.
And any investor, this is just the first round discussion. If I have to go into a deeper round of discussions, and there will be 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds of discussion, depending on the investor, depending on their understanding, biases, perceptions, and whatever their thesis is. It's not going to be an easy discussion. Everything that you do is going to be questioned. Everything that you don't do is going to be questioned. That's why funding is difficult. It's not just about what you're doing. It's also about what is it that you're able to sell. Investor is also a customer. They are buying equity from you. That's it. So these are the differences, right? But otherwise, I think you are in a good space. Just fix a few things here and there. We can certainly make something out of this. Okay. So that's my input, unless you have any more questions or anybody else has any questions.
No, I don't have any.
Okay, I see a couple of questions in the chat. Actually, I had a question regarding this whole like animal testing part. So, I mean, obviously, you're testing the products for safety, and you mentioned in the slide that you have like you tested on 30 different dogs. I mean, the way you said it was like the 30 different dogs try it. You gave the agency to them, but still, as an observer, the concern is like the whole point of animal safety is to like to make sure that it's safe for the animals to consume. But if you're doing it on animals, what happens in the failure cases? So
Okay, so testing just does not mean safety. Testing also means what sort of experience does the animal have with the product? How easy it is to pick up, how much joyful of an experience it is. Like, I'll just take an example of a Costco ball, right? If we talk about a Costco ball, with heavy chewers, it hardly lasts for 15 minutes, but the kind of quality we have, it pretty much lasts for 7 to 10 days. Um, and let's say there is a small dog like Shih Tzu, what is the right size of the product which will work for it? Then material obviously is only one small aspect of it, but it's about the entire experience of the product, not just the safety aspect. It's about how easy it is to carry, what sort of, the form is really working for the pup, whether, their little embroidery materials, is it easily can be taken off by a small breed like Shih Tzu or not, all those little things. So it's about the entire experience rather than just one small aspect.
got it. And then there's another
for
question
that,
from.
yeah, Raghav, you were saying.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
For
Completely.
something like that, I think the best is when the end consumer actually experiences it, right? And tells us that, okay, this is how it's going to be. We do
Yeah,
like
and I think
small videos around it.
Yeah, I think Amiya, you have a point to make. Okay, I think I had disabled the unmute facility.
I wasn't able to unmute myself. So
Yeah.
what I was trying to say was, Ruchika, one of those things, and just pertaining to this point that Raghav made, right? Saying testing has got different meaning.
Yeah.
It could be intrinsic. It could be anything to do with how the internal composition of an animal is monitored, etc., etc. For you, it's an experiential testing. So it's everything remains outside and you're just monitoring it. So sort of coming back to the point that I was trying to make, right? Usage of what the terms, that's also very critical.
Very, very
Sort of Raghav emphasized on that with an example.
Yeah, because it created confusion. So that's like a
Yes.
live example for us to address clearly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think there's one more question from Manu Babeja. I don't know if he's here, but I'll just read out the question. So how is your model, how your model is sustainable in today's market? So I don't know if we need to address it, because I think we went over that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all the questions there are. Okay, so I think we can close it here. Thank you so much, Amiya. Thank you so much, Ruchika, for joining in.
Thank you, Raghav. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining in as well. So every month we do this, and if you're a participant and you're watching this and you'd like to present your own pitch, please go and go to the startupclub.info and sign up for the startup pitch workshop, and I'll contact you and schedule this. And also we have a product that we are working on. I just want to advertise that as well. Like, we have a product called ClickIn, and you can go to clickin.com. I've just pasted it in the chat. It's just CLIKKIN.com. And this is basically a product that we're building to allow people to discover each other in the startup ecosystem, because that is the whole reason why you guys are also in the startup club, because you want to network and you want to discover new people. So we are building a product for that. So you can go and visit that and sign up for the sign up for the wait list, and we'll basically email you when we're out. So Amiya, you had something to say?
Yeah. Ruchika, if you can just connect with me after the call as well, no, that would be great.
Sure, Amiya. Sure.
Awesome.
I will take your number from Raghav. I will.
Yeah.
Sure. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And thanks
guys.
everyone. Thanks, Raghav.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye.
good day, guys. Bye.
Yeah.